What is going on, YouTube? Man, I am still a little bit hungover. Went out last night, and I'm already skipping to number 3. I have a list. We have a list here of things I want to talk about. I kind of miss doing the live stream stuff, but well, I'm saving $40 a month not paying for internet, so that's kind of cool. Plus, to be honest, the internet at the library, which is literally across the street from me, and I almost made it in there Friday, but I was working on the bike. I got up kind of late, then I was working on the bike, and it was either finish changing the oil or go to the library. So I finished changing the oil, which looked a little scuzzy. But let's not skip ahead to the bike. Let's go. And I did get a video of it running, so that's cool. But let's start with the car because that's number 1 on the list. Car is still not idling correctly. It's a digital, I'm about 95% sure it's a digital problem and not a mechanical problem. I think the car does have mechanical problems, but I don't think they're related to the idle. I'm getting sort of a whiny, grindy, maybe water pump going bad, timing pulley going bad kind of noise. So that's not super fun. Something I wanted the last shop to look at, and they didn't seem to feel like looking at it. They were checking my wipers and cabin air filter, so, you know, that's nice. Yeah, I know my wipers are shit, guys. Thank you for wasting your time on that. I've read some stuff, some people on the Reddits have shared some service manual pages with me, and there's some stuff about readjusting the throttle position sensor, which doesn't make sense to me because it's completely digital. So when I take it off and put it back on, I don't know. I'm just not. Maybe I could rotate it. Maybe that would. But the thing is, it's closed. If it's all the way closed when I took it off, and it was all the way closed, the throttle plates are all the way closed when I put it back on, I don't really see how adjusting that is necessary. I mean, like, if you tighten the cables or do weird stuff, like, maybe, but I didn't adjust any stop screws or anything like that, so I really can't figure out why I would have to do that. But I've been wanting to get the bike fixed before I take the car to the shop, but I might just have to fold and just take it to the shop and ride my bicycle to work from there. Hopefully they can get it back to me in a couple days. I mean, I guess I could Uber if I really wanted to, but you know LA Prepper, he's too cheap to do that. So even though it'd be like a $15 Uber a couple ways, but you know, adds up. So I did get a recommendation of a couple shops from a guy at AutoZone, so I might try one of them and see if they have better luck with my car. And I have a feeling, since they're smaller shops and not skeezy service centers, they might actually look into the problem that I'm having. And it has to do with the idle air control valve, or the MAF, the mass air fuel sensor. So, and I looked at data. I used a program to look at data from the car, and it seems like the temperature's reading all right. It seems like I'm getting sensible flow rate readings. So unless my car just hates non-factory sensors, non-OEM sensors, which it might, kind of has a habit of doing that, I don't know. I guess it would be reading a little bit low, potentially, because it's idling high. If it was idling high, maybe that would mean it's reading too low, or anyway, whatever. But apart from, it's like I swear Lexus quoted me like $250, $300 for this mass air fuel sensor, and you can get a cheap one online for like $20, and I can't believe that it has to be a $300 sensor. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Maybe I can get a used one that hasn't crapped out yet. Excuse me. Oh, make my car run better. So my hose clamp, you may remember, I don't know, I think I uploaded a video about the spring clamp being missing from my lower radiator hose, and I took a look at the hose clamp that I replaced it with, and it's just covered in this corrosion type filth junk stuff, which looks like it might be radiator fluid. I kind of think it looks like battery acid corrosion, but maybe it's radiator fluid that's somehow spraying out. Maybe they were right about the stress cracks. Maybe the place wasn't completely full of crap, although I still think they were. So I'll probably do a little bit of a drain and fill on the radiator fluid, which is also a good chance to take a look at the radiator fluid and make sure it's not oily, which would mean head gasket issues, which I really don't want to deal with. And I'll probably replace that bottom hose just because it's a relatively cheap part. They do last a long time, and I feel like I replaced that lower hose, I don't know, a few years ago. Not super long ago. They don't last forever, but maybe I hit something. Maybe I hit a rock and it, I don't know. Maybe the corrosion from the battery acid or corrosion from the something. I don't know. I'll shoot a video of it this week, but there's just a bunch of scuzz all around the hose clamp, and I just can't figure out where all this scuzz is coming from. It's either radiator fluid scuzz, battery acid scuzz. Maybe my battery has a leak and I never knew it, and it's just dripping fluid down there. It's possible. It's a relatively new battery. It shouldn't have any leaks. I don't know what would be going on with that, unless it's like from the factory, it just started leaking. Maybe I accidentally scratched it and there's like a pinhole leak and it just keeps leaking. So I don't know what's going on with that, but the car needs a little bit of work, and it's been kind of deferred maintenance for a long time. So I'm going to throw money at it and see what happens. And that's what's going on with the car. The bike, you haven't seen my video yet, so it's weird for me to get excited in this video, because by the time this video is uploaded, my other video of the bike running will already be uploaded. But the bike runs! Yay! The bike runs. It's not a complete piece of garbage. Changed the oil, turned out the mixture screw half a turn, and it'll actually idle. It'll actually hold and idle with the choke on at first, and then with the choke off after it warms up. But something is causing it to die, and I don't know what that is. It'll idle and idle and idle, and it'll just die. Then it'll idle and idle and idle and idle, and then it'll die. So it could be something electrical, like the ignition. If the ignition worked 90% of the time, it would get spark, 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 and then no spark, and then it would die. So if I have like a semi-faulty ignition circuit, it would run most of the time, but not all the time. So that's something that I might have to try to diagnose based on the service manual. Take a couple resistance readings, and if it's less than $100, I might just replace the part, the coil or whatever it is. But because they tend to go bad on bikes, I don't know why they do, but they just do. The spark plug's not bad, although I might replace the spark plug just because I've been running it in sort of bad fuel conditions, too lean, too rich. It'll give me a chance to take a look at it, and who knows, maybe it got too much gas, oil, something on it, and it's just a little scuzzy. So that could be a problem, but definitely a bad spark plug would still run. Wouldn't run as powerful, but it would still work, until they get really, really nasty. I don't expect changing the spark plug to fix my problems, but at least it'll give the engine a better chance to tell me what's going on with it. So I'm going to change the plug. Already changed the oil, and it kind of feels, when it's running, like a little bit clunky, like a little bit of piston slap, a little bit of valve sticking, something like that. I'm not really sure what it is. I don't really like the sound. I'll see if I can record it. The bike's not super loud, so I'll see if I can give you some video footage of that. I don't know what that's about. I know this bike has this issue where one of the pins that connects like the crankshaft to the starter gear or something can get loose. So it is theoretically possible that that pin is loose, working its way over, and sometimes it gets over far enough just to stop the engine. But I think if it did, I feel like it would completely stop it Or I don't know, maybe I'm just chipping away at the pin and I have no idea. But I tried the guitar wire trick, I tried some carb choke cleaner, and that seemed to free up the carb enough to get it to run. The bike might have this screen behind the air filter, and since the idiot that had it before me had the air filter cover off, I actually might try running it like that, because if for some reason he put a bigger jet in, it means that it could be running in a lean condition even though I have it in a factory setup. He might have jetted it for the airbox cover to be removed. So if I remove the airbox cover and it runs better magically, that means that he might have done some jetting stuff, and it means I might just leave the airbox cover off. So that's something I haven't tried yet. Maybe I'll try that tonight, but to be honest, I don't know, it's kind of depressing. I mean, the bike runs, but it's just a little depressing to keep working on it. And although I made a big improvement recently, it's just causing me so much grief. It just kind of, you know how it is when you're working on stuff, it just kind of wears and wears on you. So yeah, battery is charging. It was sort of yellow. It has this little crap indicator on it. It was yellow when I had it parked for a little bit, and now it was green when it was running and having sat for a little bit. So the charging circuit is working. And even though it's a kickstart, the circuit still has to run juice through the battery. The electrical circuit's still running juice through the battery to give me spark. So theoretically, it's possible, if my ignition is not getting enough amps flowing through the battery could be like a log jam in the electrical circuit, causing it to just not have enough amperage while running to give me a good spark, or any spark. I could be completely full of crap, but it's possible. So some people even convert these bikes, they take out the battery, or other kickstart bikes that have batteries, they take out the battery, and really the only difference is you don't get the lights when the bike's off. So I might look into modifying it to take out the battery, since I really don't have a huge use for the battery, other than like if I was at a light and the bike died, the lights would be on so I don't get rear-ended, which is kind of a good enough reason in and of itself. But so anyways, I think that's about enough update on the motorcycle. Just more like I was trying to make a joke there, but I sort of lost my train of thought. Let's talk about preps. What have I been doing for prepping? Not very much. Haven't bought any water or extra food recently. I can sort of store it in boxes. Maybe I should have a goal to kind of put together a box like once a month, just with some rice and canned stuff, and just put it in a shed. And if I can get a month of food every month, then that'll be kind of cool. In fact, I should probably go through all the preps that I have now, because I don't know, like rice in plastic bags doesn't really keep forever, so I might want to go through it. I really need to get a rice maker, or at least make some rice in a slow cooker. I haven't cooked rice in a long time, or beans. I really haven't done, a lot of cooking at home in general. Something that I hope to change here one of these days, now that I actually have a kitchen with some usable space. What else prepping related? Skills wise, haven't really been improving my skills. I mean, I've been working on the bike and the car, and that sort of, theoretically counts for something. But let's see if I can adjust this without this thing popping out. Working on a motorbike is a useful end of the world skill, but eventually you run out of gas. So to be honest, I'd much rather have an electric bicycle and solar panels. That would last you a lot longer, even though the batteries don't last forever. And that kind of goes back to the whole skills versus preps. Nothing lasts forever. I mean, a knife will last forever. Maybe a sleeping bag will last, 10, 20 years. But dehydrated food lasts a long time. But technology-related things, motors, engines, batteries, electronics, even if you have a solar panel and a cell phone, at some point your battery is just going to turn to crap. No matter if you store it at the right voltage, you always keep it charged up. I mean, it'll theoretically work for a while, like for a long time, but just things don't last forever. Books last forever, you know. Books and knives and, friends. But see a lot of people doing a lot of high-tech prepping stuff, and I think it's good to have a combination. I mean, I could fit a lot of books. This is what is this, a 1 gigabyte? This is a 16 gigabyte memory card. Look how tiny that is. I don't know if any of you remember the 1.4 megabyte floppy disks. They were like as big as a cell phone. 3.5 inches by 3.5, I think. But this is a lot of floppies. A lot. So, it's cool to have some technology. You turn on your laptop when the power goes out and look at first aid stuff, look at how to make traps, how to build fires, how to make shelters, poisonous mushrooms and, plants and all that stuff, right? Like, that's really cool. But the bottom line is you're not always going to have your laptop, you're not always going to have power, you're not always going to have your SD card. So it's really everything that you can keep in here. That's what's gonna carry you through life, more so than what you can gather and store. Social circle, prepping related, made a few, kind of been reinforcing some of my local friendships. I'm buddies with one guy who I met on YouTube. Excuse me, I won't share his identity, but he knows who he is, and I've been hanging out with him a little bit more. Really cool guy. It's really fun to hang out with people who kind of have similar mindsets, talk about knives and guns and camping and stuff like that. He's also doing some work on his vehicle, so we can kind of relate to the fact that both our vehicles are sort of in various states of disrepair. And then the big thing for me is, just roll up my windows here. The big thing for me these days is really finance. I make decent-ish money, not phenomenal money. In fact, I met someone last night who was saying that the amount of money I make versus how old I am is basically ridiculous, and he wasn't trying to be a dick about it. He was being really honest about it. And I respect that. I always respect people when they share their opinion out of like care or concern. He wasn't just like, oh, you should make more money. He was like, wow, that's really like not. He was kind of trying to make the point, like, look, you're not 21. You're gonna be, 40 at some point, and you need to be making some money. Life's expensive. You should be making money. That should be your goal, to make more money. And that's not how he said it. I'm sort of paraphrasing the point he was trying to make. And he's right. I should be making more money, which is, why I do stuff like come in on Saturday at 10 o'clock to add to do work on stuff, at work on rocket stuff. So I don't have to come at 10. I could tell the engineers, go fly a kite. Don't care. It was only an hour worth of work. Wasn't a big deal. And the best part about it is it's off my plate. I'm done. I always leave a clean plate. So I tell my coworkers and managers and stuff like that, I don't love always coming in overtime and staying late on certain days and stuff, but I never want the delay to be my fault or my department's. It's not my department, but the department that I work in. I never want it to fall on us and say, why did they not do this? Why are they late? Why are they causing the delays? I never want it to be us. I always want it to be somebody else, So I'll come in at 10 o'clock on a Saturday, do some really easy work for an hour, push a part to another part of the factory, and then it's yours. You guys can do it. And if your people don't come in, and if your people don't have their shit together, that's on you. And some of the stuff that I'm working on is hot, high priority, so you definitely don't want to be the department that's causing delays, if you can help it. So, yeah, social circle, working on that. I haven't really been doing a lot of local prepper stuff. There are a few local prepper groups, not really that prolific. It's kind of amazing when you think about it. You might have 10, 20, maybe 30 people at a prepper group. There's like 9 million people in LA County. And if you had like the biggest prepper expo in LA County, you might draw a few thousand people. But like a few thousand people compared to 8.5 million people in LA County kind of makes you think a lot of people aren't prepared. And I think a lot of people aren't prepared. I know a lot of people aren't prepared. They're kind of living this day-to-day, just-in-time inventory system. That's why I really love the name of Will's channel, Just-in-Time Prepping. Because it's kind of like a joke on the fact that most people don't really prep very realistically. But yeah, so the last item on this list, finances. Dealing with a couple, kind of like one big finance thing, and I won't go into it too much. It's kind of debt related, but it's some debt that I sort of tried to negotiate, so to speak, and I thought I had kind of successfully negotiated it, and I kind of accidentally reneged on the deal, completely unintentionally. I really wasn't trying to screw myself over, but I sort of didn't file some stuff, kind of accidentally reneged on the deal, and it's like zombie debt. It's like coming back from the dead, and it's kind of really annoying, and I have a few options of how to deal with it, but I'm trying to deal with it in the way that's going to be the least expensive. But after I get this zombie debt taken care of, I'm going to be looking at buying a house, and although California is uber expensive, I feel like a house is just a good investment in the long term, and I plan on doing a long-term thing. I don't know if I ever want to sell it. I might refinance it to help pull some cash out to invest in real estate, not to buy a goddamn boat or something. Just funny because a guy I met last night bought a boat, but I think he's in a different financial situation where he can buy a boat. So I plan on finding a house, need some work, fix it up, get a couple roommates. I might skip the roommates, I don't know, but roommates aren't the worst thing in the world. Best thing about roommates, good security. If I work nights and my roommates works days, we get up in the morning, kind of like right now, my roommate works days and I work nights. So I'm at the house in the morning. I leave at 3:30. He comes at like 6 or whenever he gets off work. So there's basically only 3 hours during the day that the house is not occupied, generally, like Monday through Friday. And the neighbors, they have a little kid. They're the landlords, so they live, they're kind of there like all the time. I think the wife's there all the time. The grandma, I think, is like a palm reader or something. Not even kidding. And the dad, I don't think he works a 9 to 5. He does something where he's kind of home on and off. I don't know what he does. Not really important. But the bottom line is, although you might think, well, if my roommate's not a prepper, it's one more mouth to feed, and that's true. If the going ever gets tough, you're going to want people on your side. Like I live by the beach, right? If I wanted to desalinate some water, say I had like a big Fresnel lens and I hooked up this still in my backyard or something, even if I'm just going to the beach to grab water and to bring it back, I'm going to want help with that, even if I have a wheelbarrow, even if I have a wagon, even if I have a bicycle trailer, even if we have to put it on our backs and carry the goddamn water, which would kind of suck. Even if he's just going to walk along with a bat and be an extra pair of eyes for me, watch my back so people don't sneak up on us. Because a group of 3 or 4 guys, or people, women could get crazy and aggressive during SHTF too, if they have to feed their family. I would never underestimate any human being who's desperate. But, one person by themselves, a group of 3, 4 people, maybe even 1 or 2 people, would potentially be willing to try to jump you for your stuff. You got 2 people, that kind of changes the odds a little bit, because even if it's 4 on 2 or 3 on 2 or even 5 on 2, 2 people with bats can defend themselves to a certain extent. Now, granted, it's not a gun, but I don't talk in videos about how many guns I'm going to carry around and who I'm going to shoot or and stuff like that. I don't talk like that. So let's just say that we would all try to defend ourselves to the best of our ability if our lives were ever on the line. That's sort of human nature. But strength in numbers. Definitely strength in numbers. So although it would be nice to live by myself and never have to worry about roommates and they're having friends and guests and parties over or whatever, every single human being that you can get on your side when things get crazy is good. And it doesn't even have to be end of the world. It could be power outage, could be a flood, could be a hurricane, tornado, snowstorm, not where I live, but tsunami, earthquakes. Say there's an earthquake, the house is so old that some tree, or let's say there's a tree next door, tree falls down, breaks the roof, pins me under my bed. And maybe it's like Memorial Day weekend, so everyone is out and my neighbors are all gone and I'm screaming, cell phone service is down, I can't call 911, I'm trapped because this branch is like falling on my leg. If I live alone and no one hears me screaming, I'm gonna probably die there. Unless I cut my leg off, I don't want to do that. I'm not that hardcore. So just having other people in the house say, hey, get the saw, get the chainsaw, get the handsaw, go get help. They round up some neighbors, they lift it off me. Yeah, I still got a broken leg or whatever, but this whole I'm going to survive by myself out in the wilderness because I have a knife and a tarp and a fire stick, or a flint rod, whatever, and the most expensive multi-tool and everything camo and 10 life straws and 5 caches. Like, it's not going to matter. Everything goes right until it goes wrong. And it doesn't seem a very prophetic thing to say, but it's true. And I think the better community you can build with your neighbors, with your friends, prepper people, online people, whoever it is, the better off you're going to be. So that's my little spiel on why having roommates is not the worst thing in the world, even if they're not preppers. Let's see, miscellaneous stuff, Work's going well enough. We have some mid-cycle reviews coming up, and I've been busting my rear end, so... Oh, look at that. American flag in the back of the truck driving by. Beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. Work's going alright. I have a review coming up. Gonna try to get a raise. Gonna try to work towards a little more responsibility at work. Still trying to become an engineer at work, obviously. Just applied to a job to be a test engineer recently. Just got rejected from a different job to be some type of engineer for some systems at our company. But I'm pretty persistent. I feel like finishing the engineering degree is probably going to be one of the most difficult things in my career. I'm really not afraid of the work that I have to do. Although the company I work at is relatively prestigious and there are a lot of really, really, really smart people there. But that's cool, which means I'll learn a lot and I'll be challenged. Besides the fact that once I'm engineer, I'll get a little bit more respect from the other engineers, because even though I have an engineering degree, the fact that I'm not working as an engineer, they sort of just like, I want to say they look down on you, but there's just not the same level of respect. Just like doctors, lawyers, they kind of realize they're in a different echelon. So, anyways, social circle stuff, well, I'm still mostly happily single, unmarried, no kids, so I've been kind of working on going out, meeting more people. Went out last night, met some interesting people, met a guy who does finance stuff, he was the one that I was talking about, I need to make more money, and I get you a job at my company, make $100,000 a year, stuff like that. So, I mean, when someone legitimately, he'd been drinking and that's okay, but when someone legitimately says, hey, I could help you do better in life, that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. And he was a sales guy, and that's, salespeople are sort of always thinking like salespeople, like, hey, you should do this, you can make this happen. Like real estate people are like, oh, you should get into real estate. Salespeople are like, oh, you can get into sales. Not everyone's like that. Like you meet a construction worker, they're not going to just say you should get into construction. You meet a truck driver, they're not necessarily going to say, oh, you should get into truck driving, although blue collar jobs like that are definitely in demand. Kids growing up watching TV, playing on their cell phones, they don't know how to work excavators. They don't know how to work a chainsaw. They don't know how to drive a big rig and double clutch and what a split differential is. So if any of you watching this are thinking about what career you want to do, college isn't the answer for everyone. It may not even be the ultimate answer for me, but it was just something that I always wanted to do, and I knew that it would give me some upward mobility career-wise, and it has. Got me a good job at a good company. So, mission accomplished, or at least stage 1 of my mission accomplished. What else we got? Euro Trip 2019. LA Prepper's going to Europe. I don't know if I have any people that watch this in Europe. I know Johan. There's a Johan guy in like Norway or Sweden or something. I don't know how many other Euro preppers we have. I should find them though. In fact, maybe if I did more videos about Europe stuff like Brexit and the EU and stuff like that, maybe I would meet some more Euro preppers, because it would be really cool to go on a hike with like some Euro preppers, make fire, maybe go like hunting with them, eat some, German venison or something. I think that'd be really neat. So yeah, I'm going to try to hit up countries of my ancestors. For me, that's Amsterdam, or Amsterdam's the city. Denmark, Germany, Prussia, Scotland, and Britain. So I'm going to hit up Edinburgh, Amsterdam, and Berlin in this trip. Might hit up London one of these days. London is kind of a shithole. If you don't believe me, just Google London shithole. Look it up yourself. Mayor Khan is a traitor to the country, in my opinion. He's destroying London. If you're not 18, you can't buy a knife, for Christ's sake. And go figure, stabbings are on the rise. I could go into London stand, but I'm not going to. But yeah, Mayor Khan is not... funny, Mayor Khan sounds like American, but yeah, Mayor City Khan or whatever doesn't have the best interest of the Londonese at heart, and I don't think he hails, culturally, ethnically, nationally from London. So can you really blame him? Not to say that immigrants can't assimilate and feel like the country is theirs and they want to make it Britain, but I don't think Khan wants to make London more London. I think Khan wants to make London less British and more whatever the hell he's trying to make it. So that's my 2 cents on that. But yeah, we're going to head up Europe in a few months, hopefully. Got to buy some tickets, figure out that shenanigan, make some plans with my friend. I'm going to go see my best friend who has lived over there for a really long time. And it just breaks my heart that I only get to see him once a year. Another reason to make money, right? Because if I was making more like 150, 200,000 a year, I'd go out, fly out and see him 2-3 times a year. But since I'm not making $100,000 a year, spending the $2,000 on airfare and maybe $1,000 for like spending money for a week, $3,000 is sort of a chunk of change I'm not really trying to drop every other month. But what are you gonna do? We all do the best we can, and he's flown out here every year, pretty much every year, and has spent time with me almost every time that he's flown out. So he's pulling his weight in the friendship, and I don't really feel like I'm pulling mine as much. Not that we really judge each other like that, but it's just, I've been talking about going out to see him for like 10 years, and I haven't, and I'm a little bit embarrassed that I haven't been able to get my crap together enough to kind of make it happen. Anyways, YouTube, I've been rambling a little bit too long, and of course we're multitasking. I'm doing laundry right now, or at least the machine's doing laundry like a good machine, so I think it's probably done. 45 minutes, hot wash, extra soil, extra rinse, etc., etc. So until next time, YouTube, keep safe, keep ready, keep your cars running better than I do, and keep prepping.